Hi, I'm Roland Shu. I'm a counselor here at the Stanford Faculty Staff Help Center. Let's talk about caregiving. I'm going to go through a lot of information today, practical tips as well as the experiences to expect. So I suggest using this video in the following way. Watch it through in its entirety, and then you can bookmark it and come back to it for easy reference. To start off with, I'm going to give some references here that I think are helpful from personal experiences as well as clinical work. Here at Stanford, we have the Stanford Work-Life Office that offers monthly caregiver seminars. Avenidas.org is the address for finding caregiver support groups. A couple of publications among the many that are available, books and blogs, but the two I recommend to start with are The Caregiver's Handbook, published by Harvard Medical Press, as well as Guide for Caring for Aging Parents. That's published by Virginia Morris. You don't have to note those right now. They're easy to find. You can go to medium.com and look up an article that I wrote there. It's under Tips for the Caregiver Journey, and I list those publications there. Many in our community are contemplating or currently caregiving. That's an important insight to know that you're part of a community. I'll divide up this video into 3 sections for easy reference, and also to frame our thinking, organize the way we approach caregiving. I'll frame each section by an experience. The first, connecting, the second, coping, and the third, releasing. At the early stage, you may be noticing changes in your loved one's quality of life. Changes of behavior that may be impacted by memory loss or other cognitive capacities, as well as physical changes, may be compromising quality of life. This is a sign for you to begin conversation. For some, we have a family tradition of being able to talk straight and direct. For others, you need a little head start. I suggest beginning with talking with friends. It's as easy as saying something like in a pass-by conversation, I'm just noticing some change in what I'm seeing in my loved one's life. It's not necessarily that you're looking for answers from your friend. It's looking to practice how you talk about it with your loved one, to hear your own voice raise the question. There are many questions that are appropriate. The point is to raise the most important topics to help your loved one frame his or her thinking, and then help your loved one inform you. You can be talking about things as existential as what gives your loved one's life meaning and happiness. Topics as purposeful or task-oriented as how to organize your papers, who's going to assign fiduciary responsibility. Or as solution-based as, who's going to tell me when it's time for me to stop driving? And a hint on that, if your loved one says, no one, that's not the end of the conversation. And a second hint is, don't make yourself be the one to have to take away the keys. It's perfectly appropriate to assign someone such as your loved one's physician to make that call. That's their role. And that also enables you to stay as much as possible aligned with your loved one. The second stage of caregiving is coping. You've assumed significant responsibility for the well-being of your loved one. Here it's important to recognize the stress that you're carrying, and I talk about this in my medium.com article, so you can take your time to look at the way we lay that out. And here's where you can also access some of that homework you've done to look at the resources such as the Work-Life Office monthly caregiver workshops and Avenidas.org caregiver support groups. Feeling stress is your body's sign that you need coping skills. You need support. It's a reality for many caregivers that you bear primary responsibility for the well-being of your loved one. But it's important to be able to set clear and responsible boundaries, to be able to distinguish between what's within your control to manage the quality of life and happiness of your loved one, and what's beyond your control to manage the health and well-being. Managing is an important term to think about when you take on caregiving, to take on the role in a sense of managing a caregiving team. Whether your loved one is living in your own home, in his or her own home, or has moved into a skilled care facility, you're working with, and especially if you've hired help, you're working with management. You're working with other caregivers who share the role with you of your loved one's health and well-being. Many, of course, think about the relationship that your loved one will have with the caregivers in their daily life. I also try to remind caregivers to give sufficient weight to the relationship that you yourself have with the managers, those who vet, assign, and oversee the caregivers. You want to get in a relationship where essentially you're both on speed dial, each other's speed dial, so that you can call each other for any small thing. You want them to know you and you to know them, so that if in times of crisis you're on the phone, you're not wondering about what they're thinking about your demands. They know you, they get you, and they respond. An additional point. If a physician has assessed that your loved one faces end of life, it's valuable to consider hospice. I'm thinking of devoting a video exclusively to the hospice experience to go into depth with that. In this video, to note that you're not alone in that stage, and that hospice offers profound help. So we've looked at the first two stages of caregiving, connecting and coping, and now the third stage, releasing. For caregivers who have lost their loved one, grieving can be particularly difficult to begin. Caregivers who've assumed primary responsibility for another loved one's well-being have learned over a long period of time to hold their own needs close to the chest. Caregivers have learned how to suppress stress relief, as well as expressing the emotional toll that the burden of responsibility as well as loss takes on them. Two tips to note in the release process of caregiving. The first can be physical. To take a look at other videos in our workshops, in our faculty staff help series on stress release, and I'd emphasize breathing exercises that help you exhale, that help you breathe out what you've been holding in. The second can be relational, to invite your spouse or intimate partner or friend to join you in a family caregiver grief support group. So to recap, important resources you can start with are the Stanford Faculty Staff Help Center, the series of videos myself and any of my colleagues can help, Work-Life Office monthly caregiver workshop series, Avenidas.org caregiver support groups, a couple of publications that I recommend starting with. They're easy to find in my medium.com article. Just Google it, my name, Roland Shu. I've typed out the titles and authors of those publications. I wish you support, strength, and community in your caregiving journey.